All right, everyone, we're back again for another episode of What in the World. My guest today is actually a former guest from a previous project I had called World of Wally. I reached out to him. It's been probably close to 2.5 years since I actually had him on that show. I wanted to jump back on social media, found him, tracked him down. We chatted, emails back and forth, all that kind of stuff, and wanted to have an opportunity to bring him back on. He actually was mentioned. He had a name drop in last week's. The two episodes that had Bill Foster featured on it because he worked in one of Bill's projects. Of course, we'll talk about that and some other stuff. Before we get started, though, I want to make sure that shout out to our show partner, the Deck Restaurant, local eatery here in the Columbia, Mississippi area, where I'm based out of. It's fast food good and good food fast. Their food is simply ridiculous. We want to thank them for being part of our show history, and we are proud that they are part of our show. We're going to jump into it now with our guest tonight, Mr. Jeff Davis. Jeff, how you doing tonight, brother?
I'm doing good, man. How you doing?
Good. Do we officially go by JF Davis? Or are you casual? You're casual Jeff Davis now that you're.
JF's just a spelling. I'm JF. I'm Jeff.
I understand. All right. So first time you and I talked was probably 2.5 years ago originally. And we got to hear the whole odyssey about how a small town guy from the state of Maine ended up in, of all places, the crazy world of Hollywood. So Absolutely. You spent quite a bit of time out there. And the ironic thing is I talked to you again now, and you're actually back in your home state of Maine. Where exactly are you in the state of Maine? Where are you located at?
I'm in a small town called Standish, Maine.
Standish.
I grew up 10 minutes from here in a little town called Buxton, 10 minutes away from here. 30 years in LA, getting my feet wet and building a career. And now I'm back here in Maine. I'm still working, still auditioning, still acting. And so it's all good.
Well, now that they've after the all the strikes that they had out there, y'all are making so much money now, even on like cameo spots. You can live anywhere you want to now. So
there's less money. Don't let it fool you.
Less money? No, I thought y'all were fighting for more money.
Yeah, but there's less work. Believe it or not, there's no work since the strike. I mean, there's nothing going
y'all got
on,
some
really.
horrible. Y'all got some horrible representatives if you made less money after the strike.
Well, I mean, I'm sure per day, per job, we're going to get a little bit more money, but I don't know. It's hard. We're not getting rich. That's for sure. Not many of us. A few people.
All right. So let's talk about getting rich in Hollywood. When you left Maine, you had every intention of going out to California and taking over. You were going to be the next. I don't know. Let's see. I don't want to date you too much.
I was going to be the next Robin Williams. That's what I was going to be.
I was fixing to say I didn't want to date you too much. I knew about what time you would have made it to California. So you were going to be the next Robin Williams.
I thought I was going to be the funniest.
Holy cow. Boy, you set the goal pretty high.
But ironically, I don't get to do any comedy very seldom. So
I know I noticed you got. Matter of fact, we were talking about this before we got started. The Bill Foster episode that I just aired, you were name dropped. I mean, he casually name dropped you. Actually, he didn't. I had to name drop for you. He just said a big time Hollywood actor.
Oh, that's me.
I mean, I knew immediately when he said big time Hollywood actor who he was talking about. But you said that you're so busy you hadn't even had a chance to watch the project.
He hasn't sent me anything yet.
Oh, I see.
I haven't seen it. I've been asking for it. I'd like to see something.
I'll see if I can run across. I think he sent me a clip. I'll share it with you. But I told you, and from our viewers, I was telling you, man, it looked like you stepped out of the books of a history book. I mean, you were the period dress and you had the whole, somehow, I don't know how Maine to Hollywood to Oklahoma. I don't know how you picked up that accent so fast, but you sounded just like everybody else in the movie.
You know what's funny is the day I walked on the set, I was asking him. I was doing my Southern accent, what I had picked up, and everyone said they felt like I was a local, like it worked. So
that's what I'm saying. I mean, you looked and sounded just like everybody else there. So 30 years in Hollywood didn't ruin.
I got to tell you, I tried awful hard, and it came pretty quick to me, and I picked it up, and I felt pretty confident with myself.
Yeah. Well, I will tell you this, and I don't know if Bill ever told you this, but he was beyond. He said your presence. Let me see how exactly he said. He said your presence on the set elevated everybody else's game around you. Holy cow, boy! You should put that on a business card somewhere.
Yeah, Yeah, and, I felt that. I mean, people were coming out of the woodwork. It's funny. A friend of mine back in LA said, she said, "Boy, I don't think I've ever seen so many selfies from one set." She said
Right.
everybody was posting selfies with me and stuff,
Yeah.
and they were, they were talking, asking if I taught classes, and they hadn't worked with someone who had worked in Hollywood before. Really, they
Right.
were mostly, a lot of them were locals. They had done some local stuff, some smaller
Right.
films.
That's what he said. There's a lot of regional actors in
Yeah,
that area.
and a lot of them had mostly done extra work. They hadn't even done a lot of speaking parts.
Right.
So it was nice. It was a good mix, and we
Yeah.
had fun. And I really, Bill wrote a character that I felt good about,
Yeah.
and I enjoyed it, and we had a lot of fun. I wish it would get released so we get
That's
people to see
right.
it.
You want to
Yeah,
go to the premiere. Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Give it
Look at
back
the
to
selfies.
Texas.
We'll walk in the red carpet. The selfies you'll take there, boy, I tell you.
Yeah,
Yeah, you were like Clint Eastwood on that set. I mean, that's
it looked like the way we had me dressed was Clint Eastwood from Pale Rider. Yeah, pretty much.
that's what I'm saying. You were the Clint Eastwood character on that. It was crazy.
Yeah,
I'll see if I can find that clip. I'll shoot it to you though.
cool.
I don't know. And I saw this just in passing. I kind of caught it out of the corner of my eye, and it was kind of it was ending as a game. Did I see you featured just recently on a like a national advertising campaign for? I don't remember. It was some kind of power equipment or something like that. I think.
Oh, I'm working on. I did actually it's out down your way more so too. It's now I'm drawing a blank. It's awful. I'm drawing a blank.
I'm trying to think. It's some type of
Bad
like
boy,
lawn
bad
care.
boy mowers.
Yeah, bad boy mowers. Holy
And
cow, man!
if you look at a lot of their recent posts on Facebook, on the internet, I mean on Facebook, Instagram, I did some stuff in the tractor. I did some stuff on the lawnmowers. I did
Yeah,
some stuff with the chainsaw, a lot of stills, and a couple commercials.
yeah. I saw. I was passing a television. We were at a restaurant or something. I was passing the television, and I glanced up, and I took a double take. I said, "Well, I know that guy."
You know,
I
it's
said, "I
funny.
know
We
that
shot
dude."
that. We shot that here in Maine.
Okay.
Yeah, that was
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, bad boy mowers. Yeah, they're a big deal. I remember when they first
Yeah.
got started, man, they just exploded. Like I
Oh,
think they even host like a bowl game, a college bowl game now.
yeah,
So,
and they are bad boy. They're incredible
oh
mowers.
yeah,
I
you're
fell in love
big
with them.
time. Hey, that's a good idea. Did you get one of those as part of the deal?
I didn't get one.
Oh, you didn't. You didn't. Well, your agent. You need to fire
I get
your
to ride
agent.
them.
You need a new agent.
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
I talked to the girl who's their spokesman, and she said she had to buy her own. And
Holy
she's
cow, man! I figured. Big time Hollywood actor. That's not my
oh yeah.
word. That's your peers calling you that. Would have at least got that worked into his deal. Like, hey, if I'm gonna drive this thing and promote it and tell them how amazing it is, don't I need one at my house? You see what I'm
They
saying?
have tractors too. I said I traded my Kubota for one of those.
There you go. There you go. So let's talk about you don't. When I think Hollywood, you don't fit the mold of what Hollywood, what you would think when if I ran into you on the street, we'd step into the diner and eat a piece of pie and drink a cup of coffee. And I mean, you seem like you could relate to just about everybody. And in Hollywood, that's a lost art of being able to relate to everybody. So how were you able to do that you said you spent 30 years in California.
30 years, but I'm still the same guy that left Buxton, Maine 30 years ago and came back. I mean, that's how I grew up and that's who I am. I'm not your typical actor even. I mean actors are usually a little out there and they're a little I'm just a guy who likes to do characters and voices and have been lucky enough to be doing it for 30 years and but as far as a human being, you and I, what's the difference? I get to do,
Right.
I get to be in a
Right.
movie, you get to be in your podcast, and
Right.
this guy over here comes in and he's my plumber, and I mean, we're all just people, right? We're all just doing a job, and that's I'm a small town boy.
Well, now to be fair, I have this recorded, so he can't back out of it now. But when Bill and I were talking, he thinks that I might be perfect for a certain role that he has coming up in one of his projects.
Well, good.
So you and I will share a few things. We're both small town guys. Would be consider ourselves common fellas. And we're not, trust me, I'm definitely not a typical actor. I told him, I said, I might look like the right guy, but I'm pretty sure when the camera starts rolling, I will not be the dude you're looking for. So we'll see. I
The
don't know.
best, but the best thing to do, all you got to do is forget the camera's rolling
Yeah,
and
just
just
forget the camera. That's hard to do when it's pointed right at you. So
well, they say that as an actor, I don't know if you ever heard this before, but the worst thing you could do is get caught acting.
oh, no, I've never
You
heard
don't
that.
act. Actors
That's
don't
good
act.
advice though. That's really good advice.
Yeah, actors don't act. You just emote.
Well,
I mean, you just do.
Bill said something when we were having that conversation. He said, the one thing that will get you plenty of time on camera is not looking at the camera.
Well,
like when you're in a
that's
scene.
that's coming from his world. He was a background actor, and that's as as a background actor, you don't want to ever look at the camera.
He was making an analogy about they were running folks. I'm assuming some type of screen test, and everybody kind of locked in on the cameras. They were passing through the scene, and they just locked in on the camera.
Right.
You don't want that to happen.
No.
No,
But as
you'll end up,
and even on your auditions, even when we do auditions, I'm usually off camera, like I'm talking to someone, not right at the camera. Commercials is different.
You'll end up being a handyman if you stare at the camera too much.
Nothing wrong with being a
Right.
handyman.
I'm just saying though, you were a actor and a handyman, but if you stare at the camera too much, you'll be a handyman. And I mean, not everybody lands a bad boy mower national deal. National.
Yeah. Well,
I think say if it made it all the way to Mississippi to a TV in Mississippi, it's worldwide at this point.
Well, I've done, believe it or not, probably 40 national commercials over my career.
Yeah. See, that's decent money in that though.
That actually back in the day, that's where the money really came from, was commercials. Really? Yeah.
So you would rather? I mean, would you rather do that type of stuff?
No, money doesn't mean anything to me. I mean, money was good; it's helped me survive.
Right.
But I could. Commercials was a means to an end. I mean, I would much rather.
I understand.
Film, TV, play a character, and actually get a chance to perform.
Yeah. Well, now you said you were going to California to be the next Robin Williams. So you were was that your basis when you first left Maine? Like you were doing stand up and all that kind of stuff, or you just were the funny guy in the room?
I just everyone. I mean, I was funny. I would crack jokes, and I was pretty quick witted, and I thought when I got, I thought, oh, that'll be fun. I'll go up there and I get, but right from the get-go, I started, my first film was a small part in Wes Craven's New Nightmare. And then I did another little tiny thing in a League of Their Own TV series. And it just seemed from then on, everything from then on was all, TV dramas, small roles in films, but, like Wind Talkers, I play an Army tech sergeant. So that's how everything became doctors and lawyers and policemen and all in dramatic roles. So, but I did, I got to tell you though, I just did we'll talk about it later probably, but I just did a film here in Maine last year where I really got to explore my comedic chops. So that was fun.
Okay. All right. Yeah. It's funny that you kind of got typecast into certain types of roles. Cause I know when the first time we talked, I'm trying to think how long ago, I had seen the American Assassin movie, and I didn't even realize that was you. And then I noticed in your IMDb credits that you were in it. And I'm like, wait a minute, let me go back and watch that again. And sure enough, you played like a federal agent or something in it.
Yeah.
And you played it well, I might add. I mean, you were very convincing. So you could have worked for the government. I mean, I'm just saying you could have pulled off working for the government if you had to. So.
Maybe. But even
what a horrible job that would have been.
But even on like The Mentalist, I played an FBI agent, which is the funny thing is like I did kind of get stuck in that kind of role. But if you look at me, this is me. And I always saw myself more as, Yellowstone or the Westerns and such.
Yeah. Right.
And even the casting director who did Yellowstone and Westworld would bring me, he had it in his mind that I was that. So he was bringing me in for school administrator, a priest, and never brought me in for the right characters for those roles. So hence I didn't book any of them, but I just recently read for him on something that was huge, and I can't say too much about it, but
Can't say much
I,
about it. No,
but
this is
I
not
would
a
have,
breaking news. It's not a
well,
breaking news segment here.
no, but I didn't book it. But if I did, I would be that big Hollywood movie star you're talking about. It was that big. It was that big.
So Bill would have hit the nail on the head. Big Hollywood actor. Big
But
Hollywood actor.
I'm just hoping that that they keep me in mind for other stuff, because it ended up finally going to someone else.
Yeah.
But it's a huge project, and it it's the one that got away. But
Listen, it's no big deal, man. You've been doing this a long time.
oh yeah,
You understand
I mean, as long as someone likes what you're doing, you're doing okay. Yeah. You can't book every role, but as long as you go in there and do good work and people remember you, it comes around.
So you went to Hollywood, though. Your dream role would have been like Patch Adams, where you could have played a doctor, but a very funny doctor.
Funny dog, yeah.
Yeah, funny doctor.
Good morning, Vietnam.
Oh my gosh, Good Morning Vietnam. You would have been, we would have seen just how funny you actually were, because he was pretty hilarious in that movie.
He was good. That
you could have just, what you're saying is, if Robin Williams would have kind of stepped back and because he did some dramatic stuff.
He could act. He could act.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I'm saying. If he'd have just shared a few of those roles, would you look where you'd be right now? You'd be that guy that wouldn't be taking interviews.
Now I'm waiting for Bryan Cranston to start sharing.
Oh yeah, yeah, Brian. I see a little Bryan Cranston right there. Yeah, a little maybe a little Breaking Bad reboot there. I'm just saying. There you go.
From your word, your mouth
to be fantastic in that. Yeah. All right, so we were talking about. I don't remember if we were already recording when we were talking about this or not. The regional influence on acting now. You said how easy it is to be able to do auditions and all that kind of stuff in California. So what about, do you see the regional influence helping you or hurting you if you're going to base out of Maine and still try to work out of California? You got spots like, Florida, Atlanta. So how do you feel? Do you think that's going to be a help or a hindrance?
I mean, it can't hurt. I mean, more work and I mean, there's been work in different areas for years. It makes it regionally, it works better for actors who don't want to leave where they're at. I mean, instead of going to LA, you can go to Georgia, go to Atlanta, and there's a lot of work there for, and they're looking for locals. They want local hires on a lot of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Florida is a little less. I think Georgia is the big one right now. New Mexico is getting big. I mean, there's always work in Texas. If you live in Texas, there's always like low independent films and stuff going on.
Mm-hmm.
Ohio's starting to pick up a little bit for that type of stuff. But
right.
I don't think it can't hurt. I mean, as long as there's work out there. The only thing it does hurt is that so much of it now, they want people to be local.
Mm-hmm.
And you can't be local in 7 different places. You can work as a local.
But I mean, is that because of like regional dialect and all that kind of stuff, or is it just easier it's just easier for them being close?
Well, yeah, that way if things change in the schedule, they're not paying to fly someone in and then they can't get the job done. If you're there, they can call you up day before, okay, we got to switch you to Thursday, and people can make those adjustments, especially if they're lower, if they're only day players, they can't afford to fly everybody in, fly them out.
All right. Well, let me ask you a question then. You said you just recently filmed a project in Maine. Is Maine a booming film area?
No.
You're trying to bring it.
I've got a couple projects I'd like to shoot here, and I just hooked up with a director from Maine who is in Hollywood.
Okay.
Who is coming back to Maine to shoot something. So hopefully I'll be working with him. His name is Billy Hansen. He just did a movie called was it Blood Cold or something? Stone, I don't know. And he did a film that's out now that's doing well. And he wants to come back and shoot another one. Boston's got a little bit of a market. There's a couple TV series and 2 of the films in the Oscars this year were shot in Boston area. So I know some locals here. There was a local in Maine that was in both of those films.
Okay. So, I just was curious. I mean, I figured with all the little regional pop-ups, the different hot spots, filming hot spots. For example, New Orleans is always New Orleans is
Yep.
not too far from me, about 2 hours from where I live,
Yep.
and I know they're always filming something in New Orleans, a
Right.
TV
Yeah.
show or a movie or something.
Which
So
is
that's why I
great
was
for the people.
curious about Maine, with its
Yeah.
geographic convenience to places like Boston, Massachusetts, and New York City, and places like
Yeah.
that. So,
I mean, but New York's tough because they got such a group, plethora of actors there already.
right.
Boston's good. I'm kind of the new guy in the Boston area, so hopefully I'll get. I booked a few things there already, and things are looking good there. I'd love to break the Atlanta market, but like I said, a lot of people there they want locals,
Right.
unless you're getting in for the leads and stuff. So, yeah, but it can't hurt. Work's work. I mean, as long as it's something
Yeah,
out
I
there.
don't know if you know this guy. His name's Dwight Turner. He's also an actor. He was in Hollywood. He was in New York for a while, and now he's based out of Kentucky. So he's there. He's in that area, that Kentucky area, and then Ohio. He also mentioned Ohio has
Yeah.
got a spike in. So my question would be: so you're in Maine, Boston. Boston to a Southern guy like me, Boston seems like a pretty thick, pretty intense, accent. Now, growing up in Maine, I would probably say if I knew you years ago, man, you got quite an accent. Of course, you'd say the same thing to me because.
Well, I mean, I can. The Boston accent's a little different than the Maine accent, but yes, when in Maine they talk like this, they go in and they don't use their eyes, they say car, we go up to the bar, and that's pretty much how we talk up here.
Yeah, but let me ask you a question because Dwight said the same thing. His Kentucky accent's kind of bleeding back in now that he's living there more on a consistent basis. So is your Maine accent bleeding back in?
I've watched some of my auditions that I've taped here,
Uh-huh.
and when I'm acting, no. I'm sure in conversation, yes.
That's just crazy because I mean, you've probably had to deal with dialect teachers off and on for
No,
years.
I just have a good ear for dialects.
Really? So you've never had to like a certain role and they go, "Hey, we're gonna put you with this dialect guy." And you go, "No, I got it. I'm good."
And I mean, I can pop into, like I can do Irish and Scottish, and
Huh.
I can drop into different stuff. And if I'm around somebody, especially like if I was around you very long, I could start
You
talking
could
just
pick
like
me. You could pick me up.
I
I
think
don't
I
think
could.
anybody talks. I don't. Yeah, I was
I,
told the other day what an impressive
nope.
accent I had, and I'm like, I don't. I'm 50 something years old. I don't
I
hear it.
tell you what. I tell you what. I think Bill talks a lot like you. All right, Bill Foster's got very similar.
I hear you. Bill is hilarious to be around. He has a very strong
It's
Southern
pretty
accent.
strong. Yeah, yeah. And some of the boys that he was around, some of the, they're fixing to do this and fixing to do that. And,
Oh yeah, fixing. Yeah, if you use the right type of words, you can get a learn anywhere. So, how many days were you actually with them?
just 3.
Okay, 3 days. But in 3 days, you picked up. You sounded just like them on set then.
Well, I think before I got there.
Oh, okay. So you had listened to it. So when you stepped out, they're like, "Oh my God, this dude's from Dallas, Texas,"
Yeah.
and you're
Well, the
like,
night
"No, I'm
before,
not."
when I actually they said Houston. They said it sounded like Houston is what they
Oh,
told me.
really? Who you starting
Um,
in? Hmm.
so when I got there the night before, I went to a little cookout and I was talking and I started and I got the okay from the locals. They liked what I was doing, and I didn't want to sound, you know, comical or something. And so
Right.
I was hoping it was, and they gave me the okay and said, you got it.
Yeah, some folks when they try accents, it's pretty exaggerated. It's insane.
And it's easy to do that. I think it's
Yeah,
easy to go over the top.
yeah. So you are just like Robin Williams. He would hear the voices in his head and he would just emulate them.
Yeah,
That's
his were in his
crazy.
head.
That is
Mine weren't.
crazy.
Yeah,
Oh yeah. He actually said that in an interview one time. He said, where does all this come from? Like, oh, I know they were talking to him about he voiced Aladdin in the animated. And he's like, where did that come from? He goes, I just heard it in my head one day. And I'm like,
yeah.
and the guy's
No, he
like,
was.
you heard it? He goes, yeah, I have voices in my head. I'm like, somebody should have checked this dude out.
Yeah. No, but he was good. He was amazing.
He was
I mean,
amazing.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah. And he can
Now,
switch.
I
He
hate
could
that you and
switch.
him were competing for all those roles
No,
initially, right?
no,
The timing
no.
was just off.
I never got to that point, but
So since he influenced you, did you ever get a chance to meet him?
no, no.
Oh, that would have been crazy.
I mean, I got to meet a lot of people, not necessarily even some of them just ran into randomly. I mean,
Yeah.
I ran into, well, I worked for a lot of people, Meg Ryan, Diane Keaton,
Yeah.
Courtney Cox. These were my clients. David Spade was
Yeah.
one of my favorite clients. He's great. But like out trick-or-treating with the kids, I ran into Gary Oldman, who's one of my heroes. I love
Okay.
Gary
Yeah.
Oldman. Yeah. And so he was with Terry Hatcher.
Yeah. You talking about accents. I
He's
heard
good.
Gary Oldman on Graham Norton one night. And I didn't, because I was just listening to it. I wasn't watching it. I had my back turned to the screen. And I had no idea who he was until I turned around and saw him, because in
He's
all
British.
these movies he's made in America, he sounds just like any Midwesterner that I've ever heard on television.
Yeah.
It was wild. So
I
you
think
talk about dialects,
think
that's insane.
Oh
So
yeah, because he's British. But I think he's one of the best we have out there.
he is pretty
I love
good.
pretty much
Yes.
everything he's ever done. Yeah.
So if you, let's say after 30 years, I got a question now.
Okay.
Who, if you had to rate the top three, I'm not going to say the top one because that's too much pressure. The top three Hollywood peers of yours that you've had the opportunity to work with, who would be your top three?
That I would like to work with, or that I did work with?
No, you're jumping the gun now. That's going to be another. The top three you've worked with, and then I was going to follow that up with who are the top three, like your dream team list that you would like to work with.
The ones that I have worked with, Kevin Costner.
Okay.
Let's see, Kevin Costner. Who else did I really work with? I tell you, I worked with. Now I'm drawing a blank on his name. I hate that.
Well, the problem is you jumped out there so quick with Kevin Costner. I mean, I'd have had to finish with that one. I don't know if I got to.
Well, that was the biggest one. That's who I worked
Kevin
with.
Costner.
That was probably the biggest actor I worked with. I actually doubled Kevin Costner and stood in for him on Waterworld for a month when I was young.
Okay.
That was one of my early jobs. And
you were ripped up back then.
Yeah.
If you were doubling for him, because I said in Waterworld, you had to have been ripped up pretty good. You was in fantastic shape.
Well, I'll tell you that the fact of the matter is I was in better shape than he was. I was in his full wardrobe, and he looked at me one day, and I'm walking by, and he goes, "Hey, boy, don't be mugging for the cameras." And I thought about that for a minute, and I'm like, that's Kevin Costner's telling me not to mug.
I know. Jealousy, I tell you. All right, so Kevin Costner, that's actually could be a top three because I know. Well, of course, I'm assuming. I'm trying to think what I saw a project you had on your list that I was going to ask you because it was one of the guys one of the main characters in it was somebody that I just had recently seen. I don't know. We'll jump on.
I forget. I mean,
what's your dream team? Like the three people that you would absolutely just die if you were able to work with them.
Well, we already talked about two of them, Gary Oldman and Bryan Cranston.
Right.
I really feel. I mean, I really
your
like.
Your paths have not crossed with either of those at this point, though.
No.
Neither one of them. Okay, well, I'll get on the phone. I'll see what I can do for you.
There you go.
So that's the first two. Who's the third?
Another one who I actually met, I ran into, and would love to work with is Denzel.
Oh yeah, Denzel.
Yeah, I ran into him at a screening of a Muhammad Ali documentary years ago when I first moved out there, and he was sitting right behind me. But I did get to work with, going back to who I did get. I mean, I got to work with Joe Mantegna on Criminal Minds. It was amazing. Steven Weber, I don't know if you know who Steven Weber is, but I worked with him on 13 Reasons Why. And he used to be on a show called Wings. Remember that show, Wings?
I know exactly, man. I'm a Gen Xer. I know all about some Wings.
Well, Tim, the one that played his brother. His Cagney and Lacey. His sister was Cagney and Lacey.
His sister. Did you say his sister was Cagney and Lacey?
Was on that show, Cagney and Lacey.
Oh, it was on the show, Cagney. Okay, yeah.
She was. Anyway, I'm drawing a blank on his name, and he's probably the most genuine, and he was a child actor. For some reason I'm just drawing a complete blank. But I worked with him on a show called Private Practice, and I spent the week on that TV show working.
Mm-hmm.
And he would have lunch with me and the woman playing my wife, and he was so genuine. He would ask questions. He really wanted to know who we were, where, you know. And this is a guy who grew up in Hollywood, you know. And that's one of the most amazing people I've worked with.
Okay, so I need to work on getting you on a project with Gary Oldman, Denzel Washington. Denzel, that's going to be. I might call in a few hard favors on that one. And who? Oh, yeah. and Cranston, Bryan Cranston. I don't know. Bryan Cranston might be pretty hard. Yeah, you know, since Breaking Bad, that dude's kind of untouchable.
he's done a lot since then. But,
yeah.
He might need a younger brother, right? I could play his younger brother.
Yeah, I'm fixing to say, man. Or an old look. You could play one of his old high school buddies. You know that y'all used to rip it up back in the day. I see. I'm writing a plot to the story right now. I'll get on that screenplay as quick as I can. So yeah, I can. What was it? Malcolm in the Middle was where he actually got started. Malcolm in the Middle. I remember watching him and I'm thinking that dude is so funny.
Well, before that, he had a recurring character. He did a few episodes of Seinfeld.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I even forgot you were on Criminal Minds. That whole cast was amazing there.
Yeah. And I was in it near probably 5 or 6 years ago now.
Yeah.
Aisha Tyler. She was amazing too. My scene was just with her, just her and I.
Okay.
But Joe was there for the read through and stuff. But I had a good scene as a grieving husband. My wife had been killed, and I had to meet with them. And
at least they didn't find out you were the one that did it.
No, I wasn't the one who did it. No.
Okay. Because that's a twist they like throwing in a show like that. It's like you're grieving. Oh my God, you axed this woman to death.
I'm usually the one that gets killed.
I didn't know that. I didn't.
Yeah, if you watch Lethal Weapon, the TV series,
okay,
I play a Texas criminal who's being shipped from LA back to Texas, and I break free and get on the run, and I end up getting killed in that one.
Man, I tell you, your range is crazy. You're all over the place.
I play criminal in that one.
I was fixing to say, I thought you were fixing to say, well, you were a cop in it or something.
No, I actually played the outlaw in that one. So
that's crazy. So I guess the dream job would be to land because you mentioned this earlier. You got to cut that 1800s, 1850s kind of cowboy look about you. You know, you could put on a cowboy hat and saddle up a horse, and that'd be a Clint Eastwood old school throwback Western would be.
A new Gunsmoke.
Listen, I'm telling you, these ideas, we should be writing this stuff down right now. I'll tell you what, the way they're rebooting stuff, I'm waiting any day for something like Gunsmoke to be rebooted.
Yeah. So. Well, we need to do a Western, and I hate to say this because I've been streaming TV. You can watch a lot of these newer Westerns that people have shot. And the sad thing is they're really bad.
Yeah.
People are trying to bring back the Western, but they're doing it on no budgets with no actors that have ever acted before. And they just, the plot lines are bad. The acting's bad. The look is bad. I want to like them and I can't even watch them.
Do you critique you catch yourself critiquing stuff that you see?
Not usually.
Like you'll be watching television and go, that scene was horrible.
Sometimes, but for the most part, I try not to. I try to enjoy it. If I go to the movies or watch a TV show, I want to watch it and enjoy it.
Okay.
But when something's so bad that I can't watch it, that's different. That's
got to be pretty bad because in this society where we're so desensitized by the screen, I call it the screen effect, and everybody's like that. Yeah. So you've been doing all this acting all these years. You never wanted to make the transition behind the camera?
I thought about it. I actually had a script for a horror film called The Demons Within.
Right. I mean, that's the reason I was asking, because I remember seeing that, on some of your social media stuff.
Things didn't go the way I had hoped, and I ended up not directing it, but I did get it produced, and I acted in it. We shot that in Ohio. Let's see, not this past August, but the August before that, so a year and a half ago, and that's out now on Tubi and Prime, and it is what it is. It's a low budget horror film, but I got my first one made as a producer. So that,
to be fair, if you, let's say Clive Barker, what's the other guy, the one Wes Craven, stuff like that. I mean, if you go back and look at some of their early stuff,
Yeah.
it was horrendous. And then some of the craziest, most successful horror movies of all time, stuff like the Jason, the
Right.
Friday the 13th, and that was absolute trash. You go back and watch that stuff now, and you think that was trash. Why?
Yeah.
But you
Yeah.
watched all of them. Like I think
Right.
I feel like there was like 20 Jason movies. I mean,
Yeah.
it seems like there was a bunch of them. They just recycled. It's like five. I think it was 5 different guys played the actual role. They had so many that they had got like 5 guys to play the role. That's insane. So you said you dabbled in the horror. Have you worked in every genre? Like have you done a little comedy? You done a little horror? You've done the dramatic. I mean, if you had a role,
I haven't
like everything.
I haven't really done any sci-fi for the most part.
Okay,
I did do a short. A buddy of mine's he's a VFX artist, and he did a little Star Wars fan film.
Okay,
but he hasn't finished it yet because he's doing so much video effects for the backdrop of it. But I did play I did a really cool character in that. So I guess I got to do some sci-fi. But I've done the Western. I've done a modern Western. I did a film called Hard Good Night, which I'm anxious for that to come out. It's all me. I play a washed up Hollywood stuntman who moves back to his little town in Texas, and another Texas movie. And he has a little theater, and he shows these old movies in it, and it's going under, and he ends up pulling off a heist to try to save his theater. So it's a fun little movie.
Did you write this? I mean, you wrote the
screenplay? No. This young.
I was fixing to say because you have all these ideas in your head. That's another question I was going to ask you. Have you thought to just sit down, put your thoughts on paper, and then just ride that all the way through to the production?
Well, I have an idea that I had come up with called Restitution: The Legend of Cordell Pierce, which is a full-blown big budget Western. And I had a writer help with that. We put that down. I have a comic book and everything with that one. That was I was trying to do that for the last 7 or 8 years. So that's still sitting on the shelf. So what I'm working on right now is I'm trying to do a prequel to it on a lower budget. And I am trying to get that up, get that going. And I've been working on an idea for a short film that I can shoot with just 2 or 3 characters that I would like to showcase myself as an actor and try to get it into some of the festivals that qualify for the Oscar shorts.
Right. So, well, I was going to ask you a crazy question. Was retirement somewhere in the future? But it sounds like not. It sounds like you're going to be doing this till your Clint Eastwood's age.
I'm too young.
I know, too young. You have to do something boring. You have to go get like a real job. Yeah.
You're right. Yeah.
It's a lot more fun to do this, isn't it?
It is. And especially right
now now that you're a little older and you have no fear because you've been in front of a camera, you've done everything.
Yeah.
You've got with a promoter yet and decided to do like a little stand-up tour, maybe a little East Coast stand-up tour. Like,
I mean, the problem with me is, again, I have ideas, but I'm not a writer. And for stand-up, you need someone to write your material.
Well, now you say that, but obviously you're not in the know. These young cats. This guy, what's his kid's name? Matt Rife, young Caucasian kid. He's huge now on social media, but he doesn't write anything. He just shows up and he does crowd interaction the entire set, like an hour and a half, just nonstop. The problem with that is some of the stuff you can get into.
Well, and it's also hit or miss. There's nights when you can just boom, boom, boom. Yeah, I'm sure there's going to be nights where you got no boom.
Yeah, I would be afraid to step out there. Well, think about it. There are times when you have to go off script with some of the stuff you guys do. Huh?
Oh yeah, no, absolutely, yeah.
So see, you'd be ready for it. They couldn't hit you with anything that would throw you off.
I mean, if it got started, I could probably do a little
just keep going,
stand up without any script, but I would like to have something to fall back on.
That'd be absolutely terrifying. I'm just curious because you said you were going to Hollywood to replace Robin Williams. I just wondered before, before you reached Clint Eastwood's age.
As an actor, I thought I could be funny. I never really thought about stand up.
Yeah,
it never really entered my mind. That's a whole nother craft, and they're the ones that are good at it are good. And some of them aren't great actors.
Right.
You know, some of them cross over and do some TV, but usually they're surrounded by really talented people that make them look good. I mean, Roseanne wasn't much of an actress.
Yeah.
Jerry Seinfeld wasn't much of an actor, but he surrounded himself with people and he played himself.
You know, you talk about surrounding folks, funny people surrounding folks with you. You mentioned the guy earlier, David Spade.
Yeah.
He was a guy you had done some work for. I'm telling you, David Spade and Chris Farley together were absolute comedy gold.
Yeah.
But then after Farley passed away, I just don't find Spade funny at all.
No, I mean he's popped up on a couple of series that he did well on.
But I'm saying that he has to be feeding off of somebody for his humor to be
feeding off. Yeah.
Yeah,
No,
him and Chris Farley were gold together.
The funny thing is, in person, he's kind of an introvert. He's quiet.
Really?
Yeah, you wouldn't. And he's a super nice guy. Which he plays that kind of a prick, but he's actually a super guy.
You talking about him? What you need to talk to Adam Sandler. Man, if you could get in a Sandler movie,
well,
you'd be a cult hero. Like I'd be watching your stuff in the nursing home. I'm like, I know that guy.
Well, I did do. I don't know if there's one of the biggest things I did in the last 5 years was a thing called now I'm going to draw a blank. It's a stupid little skit show, and people love it. I did this little skit about riding on horseback.
Mm-hmm.
And my friend, a woman, and I are on these horses, and she looks over at the horse and sees, and she's like, "Wow, look at that! Look how big that horse is!" And I'm like, "I don't want to ride anymore."
Interesting.
So then it cuts to this like a commercial. Here at the Fenton's Horse Farms, we raise horses with a 5-inch.
Oh, I see. So it's sort of like BBC humor. And whose line is it anyway? Kind of merged together.
Yeah,
that's pretty cool.
It's a guy called Tim Robbins. He used to write for Saturday Night Live, and it's his little show. And I think it's called "I Think You Should Leave" with Tim Robbins. And look it up on YouTube. It's pretty funny.
I think you should leave. We'll have to. We'll, like I said, we'll get that in the description notes below so everybody can check it out. So. Man, I tell you, it's been a while since we talked, and like I said, the last time I talked to you, you were in the valley in Los Angeles or somewhere. The last time we talked years ago, and like I said, I follow all your stuff on social media, but I had no idea you were kind of back in Maine.
I actually have a farm, 1800s farm. It was built in 1800. 100 acres of land. I got woods and fields, and I've been out on the tractor,
just being an old country guy. Boy, I tell you, that's why you fit in so well with these folks down here in the South, because that's what we do. We just old country folks. So
that's it. And
all right. So before you get out of here, any project that you got about to come out, you're working on, whatever that you can talk about. I know we don't want to breaking news on this situation.
The ones I can. I mean, one of them is I mentioned earlier A Hard Good Night. I don't know when it's coming out, but it's something that I'm very proud of. It's a fun little film. It's kind of a modern Western noir. It's really interesting.
Okay. All right.
Seth Magana, this young director from Texas, wrote, produced, directed. And then I did a movie here in Maine called Can You Dig It? And it's a mockumentary. That's the comedy. And it's about this. It's actually a real sport of freestyle canoeing. And it's almost like rhythmic dancing or something. I mean, it's just in a canoe, and they're just slowly to music, and they're leaning it up and turning, and it's a real thing.
It's a real thing.
Y'all
are not making fun
really seriously, but
it's a real thing, and y'all are making fun of it. Okay, I got you.
Yeah, and I don't know if you ever saw Best in Show.
Yeah, I'm well familiar with it. Yeah,
this is it's Best in Show, but about this canoe racing. So we're all real people talking about and competing. I end up competing. I'm an older guy who's been watching it for years, and it's my first year competing, and I'm going up against the young guns, and I have a real thick Maine accent in it, so that's fun. And then I'm getting ready, I believe, hopefully, if all goes well, to work on a film with Paul Winters, a Western called Bountiful, and I play a pretty main character in that Western. So that would be my first Western
character. The man said,
I get to play a true Western character in that one.
Okay. Some
Cowboy,
real
not
villain.
not,
Got
not
some
a
real
preacher.
villain action going on there. I like it.
No, I'm a good guy.
Oh, you're
I'm
a good guy.
guy.
I thought you
It's a
said you're a really mean guy.
Oh no, a really true cowboy.
Okay. All
A
right.
ranch owner.
Yeah. Oh, you're
Yeah.
a white hat guy. Oh my God, a white hat
Not,
guy.
but it's not the preacher that I was in Bill's movie.
Well, no, you were a white collar guy there.
Yeah.
All right.
Preacher with
So
a
you got
gun.
all kind of stuff going on now.
Trying.
Yeah. Look, we'll make sure for our listeners or for our viewers, we'll make sure that we list all that kind of stuff in the description notes with links and all that kind of stuff where you can easier to find it, if we got links and stuff. So
yeah,
I'll get with Jeff, make sure we get all that. So
and as far as social media, everything is JF Davis Actor.
And you're in all of it. Facebook, X, what else we got? Instagram.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think what else you're on. You're on a lot of stuff.
No, I think that's pretty much it for me.
You're not on Threads? I thought I saw you on Threads.
No. Oh, is that the new one? That's a spinoff of Instagram. So yeah, I guess
think
I
so.
am.
See, he doesn't even know what he's on. That's his PR people. Your personal assistant handles all that stuff, right?
Yeah. I don't post so, only when I got something going on.
I understand. Listen, I'm on all that stuff too. It's hard to keep up with all that stuff.
Yeah,
I'm exhausted.
You need a PR person to do all that.
Yeah, that's what I told somebody. I said I need somebody to just keep up my social media stuff. So
yeah.
Anyway, well, brother, I appreciate you coming on, man. We bounced back and forth trying to get this thing scheduled, and I'm sitting here trying to figure out how to get on the same, because I thought you were still out in California all the time, and I'm thinking, man, I got to work on the West Coast now. Well, then when you tell me, oh, I'm an hour ahead, I said, hour ahead, where in the world is he at there? And then I realized he's back in Maine, so. Yeah,
living the dream.
Living the dream on the farm, man. Just living the dream. Spending all that big time. Was it big Hollywood star money that Bill was telling me about?
Yeah, I wish.
You made so much money making that movie with Bill. That's what it is. That's
yeah. Big bucks.
Hey, every little bit helps, brother. Every little bit helps.
It does. And you know what? It was great that he actually flew. He was interested in me enough. He flew me in. They wrote he put all my scenes together so we could shoot them in the 3 days and get it done.
Because he shot a big time Hollywood actor. You couldn't hang around all week.
Well, he couldn't afford to have me hang around all week. He was
that
paying
big trailer.
me.
You got that big trailer. So
yeah.
Also, I just want to point out I think he told me that my part that he was talking about is set in the 1930s. So we might have to bring you in, for me and you together on screen together.
Let Bill know that I'm just waiting for the phone call.
That's what I'm saying. You'd have to wear one of the little derby hats and all that kind of stuff. So
I did. One of the early movies I did was a short film called The Missing, and I play a detective in the 1920s, and it was
Well, see, you'd be perfect for it.
Slide right
I need to go watch that then to prepare myself for this so-called role that's coming around.
I don't know if that's available anywhere. It's a great little black and white.
Somewhere. We'll find it
black
somewhere.
And white film noir project I did. It was really.
There's a bootleg copy on Reddit or somewhere. I'll find it. All right, brother. I appreciate your time tonight. Had a blast catching up with you again.
You too.
And like I said, for our viewers, I'll have all the links to all the stuff that he was talking about, all his social media links, all of his projects that are coming up. Hey, check him out. He looked pretty impressive on that bad boy mower. He was showing out on it. So, all right, Jeff. Have a good evening, brother.
Great, man. Take care. Thanks for having me.
I appreciate you, man. And as for always, we'll see you guys next week.